It was a Monday morning like none other in the 158-year history of financial giant Lehman Brothers. The company went bankrupt.
In 2008, we were dealing with a crisis, and I think earlier on there were things that regulators and certainly financial institutions could have done to avert the crisis to begin with. But once we got into late 2008, we were in a crisis mode, and we didn't have very good information. So when you're in a crisis and you have incomplete information, you go overboard, right? Because if you don't do enough, you're going to have a real problem. If you do too much, you're going to regret it, which I do, and I think we did do too much. But at least you get the job done, and we did stabilize the system in 2008. In 2009, though, I think that was really when the cleanup should have started. One good thing we did in 2009 was we forced large financial institutions to raise a lot more capital, and that was a good thing. But what we didn't do was force them to get the bad assets off of their balance sheets. We just kind of propped them up, left the bad assets on their balance sheets. They can work them out over time. There were a couple of institutions that I think, one in particular, which I discuss in the book, that really should have been restructured. It should have been put into a bankruptcy type process and restructured, broken up. I kept being told, Citi systemic, and I didn't question that we needed to do something with Citi, right? We weren't just going to leave it, let it explode, because it was on very, very shaky territory. They had made very mismanaged institution. They'd really just about every dumb thing that you could do that banks were doing prior to the crisis, they did. And they had highly unstable liquidity. We do think we should have created a good bank, bad bank. They had about $800 billion of bad assets we thought should have been put into a bad bank, spin off the good bank, have new management, a new board. Then you'd have a bank with a clean balance sheet. You'd have to raise more capital, and the stakeholders, the debt holders, and the shareholders of the current Citi would have had to absorb losses associated with those bad assets. But yeah, that was the approach we wanted to pursue. And we really just couldn't get any traction on that. There was a sense that we couldn't pose any losses on, especially on their bondholders, or it would be systemic. And I, to this day, don't understand that. I think we could have imposed a lot more discipline on bondholders than we did. Shareholders did take losses through dilution, but the bondholders and the counterparties, the derivatives counterparties, were protected 100 cents on the dollar. I don't understand why that was necessary. So I do think we should have had a more serious discussion about it, at least, but we couldn't. The Fed, the New York Fed especially, the Treasury Department, just didn't hear about it. And I would get these categorical statements, Citi systemic, and that really, that begged the question, okay, we understand something has to be done here, but why can't we inflict a little pain and restructure this very sick institution? And it just never got done.